Welcome back. On this episode, we're going to be dealing with flashing LED lights, which is going to be our first little project that we're going to be dealing with. As for learning how to solder and also get together a small printed circuit board prepared with flashing LED lights, similar to like what you would have on the railroad crossings. Um, I'm going to go through the step by step what I'm going to be doing with it, and I have a small little work table set up with the appropriate equipment like soldering and all that, and we'll put it together. I'm going to put some links down below in regards to what capacitors, transistors, resistors are in this episode, so that way you'll be able to get somewhat familiar with what these components are on a printed circuit board. I'm not too fluently familiar with them, but I am starting to learn about them as I go along in my training of making small projects like this, including on the Arduino itself, which we're going to be doing at a later date. And if we still have a chance, I have one other one that I would like to try to work up on too, which is a sound to light unit. Another one of these welding kits again, which I might work up on afterwards. It's not a rush at this point in time. I might include it in this episode here, which is going to be part one of two. I'll do one, prepare it, solder it, test it, and actually try it out. Make sure everything's working. And I'm also going to introduce you to the equipment that I'm going to be using in order to solder these guys together, okay? So let's go over to my work stop and take a look at see what we have that we need to actually deal with soldering these things together. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to be working on the flashing LEDs. I'm going to quickly go through the inventory. Let's go through here. Now, to let you know, this is what they call the PCB. This is the actual circuit board where we're going to be assembling the actual components on. And as you can see, they're marked with R1, R2, R3, so on and so forth. Capacitor 1, capacitor 2, RV1, RV2 on this. That's on the front side. This is actually where we're going to be actually mounting the components on the front side. And we're going to do them each individually. And this is the other side where we're actually going to actually put the solder on, and then afterwards with this little guy over here, I'm going to actually snip off the ends on the back side. But while I'm doing that, before I even do that, I got some of these 90-degree long nose pliers to help me do that. So that's one thing I'm going to actually add in, or actually use, in regards to it. So we got one printed circuit board. We have the actual, I guess you can say the actual power supply, the 9-volt battery, for the 9-volt battery itself. Batteries do not come included with these kits. That's something you have to buy extra. And you can buy some really cheap alkaline batteries at your local store. They don't have to be super powerful for these kits. So what do we have here? We have two LED lights, which is part of the package, which will go on later on. We have 4 resistors, 2 1K resistors, and 2 10K resistors. Black, brown, black, orange. Oh yeah, so those are the ones. We have also 2 capacitors, as we can see here. These ones here are 35 volts. It's hard to see what the last ones are. I'm gonna start doing like John's Arcade there. At 8 microfarads, which are 35 volts. We have 2 trimmers. See these things here? These little guys. These here actually, think of them as the volume control. These potentiometers, or trimmers, as they like to put it in the manual. These potentiometers actually, think of them as the gates of the electricity going through the circuit itself. Now these gates, these potentiometers actually give you the flow of what's actually going in. So there's actually 2 of them here, bing bing. And last but not least, 2 transistors. Now these 2 transistors, it's hard to see even the writing on these. I'm gonna need a really super huge magnifying glass for these ones. But these ones here, I'm going to go on there as well. And these 2 here, if I can see them here, here we go. We got T1 and T2. If you can take a look closely enough, T1 and T2. That's on the bottom part there, right there, and right there. Those will go into there, and the lights will go over here on either side of the potentiometer. So those where those 2 go. And this here is actually a good little project, especially if you want to use this kind of project. If you have like model railroads or something similar of that nature where you need like a crosswalk, you can use something like this, with the exception of the 2 LED lights, where you can actually hook it up to an actual functioning lights on either the post crosswalks or like on the stop signs, as an example. But let's get going on this. I'm going to actually bring my other camera out, and I'm going to get my soldering iron heated up to actually start working on this. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so we're back. Now, reading through the instruction booklet, which comes in handy, and I'm using the instruction booklet as they have mentioned. R1, R2, which is brown, black, red. So let's find this, the brown, black, red. Okay, so here's the first one out of the 2. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually bending the 2 leads here, and going through with what they have here for R1 and R2 is that they want me to put these 1K ohm leads into here, which I'm going to do that very carefully. And what I am going to do here is I'm going to actually spread these here like so for both of them. So I'm going to do 2 of the resistors first. 2. Now you may be wondering, and I also inquired about this as well. I actually spoke with one of my friends who was learning at the college level, and also with one other guy who's actually an engineer, that usually, like when you read the diodes, not the diodes, the resistors themselves, it's usually left to right. on these things. So left to right on here, as you're reading it here, you go to the same thing here, left to right. So it's brown, black, red. Follow the two like that for both of them. Slide them in. And make sure that they're kind of flat. So there we go. Now what I'm doing is I have some solder already in a little tube. You can get them in tube form, or you can get them in reel form. Okay, this is actually soldering wire, which has a low temperature gauge on them, and also this here has a low temperature gauge as well. These rosin ones. I actually picked this here up at a local renovation center. They have it in the tool section, and this here I think is about $12 or $15. This here, these ones here are about maybe $1.50 to $2, depending where you go. These two here, I actually picked them up at my electronics store that specializes in electronics and electronic components like these things here, the projects. So I usually go to those ones. Places like The Source. Radio Shack used to sell them, but since Radio Shack is gone, The Source doesn't sell these guys, for the simple fact is that they are not into the type of electronics like what Radio Shack was. So this is why it becomes in handy to go to these specialty stores. So that's why I'm going through these things here, these specialty stores. So let's get this here soldered. Go up on there. I'll go with this one here. There we go. So now since I have that done, Now, if you're wondering why I'm taking some time here, I just want to make sure I don't actually nick the soldered item, and I get mainly the top part of the top part of the solders there. So that's done. R3, R4. That's going to be a tight one. Haha. I don't want to cause a short on that one. Brown, black, orange. Okay. So I'll do the exact same thing again for the brown, black, orange, which are the 10K ohm resistors. And that goes into R3, R4. R3, R4. I tell you, just to learn electronics, there we go. Now let's do it for these two here as well. Oh god, that's one big goop. Worst case scenario, what I'll do is, if I can use a file, so I think I put a little bit too much there. Hopefully it won't short out. But that's one thing you have to learn. You have to be patient with these things. Yeah, I'm gonna get my little soldering sucker. Okay, that looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And put that in there. Oh, come on. There we go. Yep. Cool. Okay, so next is the little trimmer guys here. Where's my little... There we are. RV1 and RV2. And in case you're wondering who that sound is, that's actually my Misty, my cat. Give me a few moments here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I am so sorry for being so bloody late, and because you heard of Misty in the background there. That's one of our cats here. So the next one here is actually the potentiometers, or as they like to call it here, the actual trimmers. Basically, what these are, they are very similar to like the volume control for. In this case, not really like a volume control per se, as you would have on your stereo system, but they work to control the speed on each of the LEDs. So you got one for each. So these two here go into REV1 and REV2. RV1 or RV2, sorry. So we'll just insert them like this. Make sure the single pin is on top and the two other ones are down below as shows in the diagram. And now here comes the fun. Okay, got those two like that. I'm setting it upside down so I can actually solder these ones here properly. Okay. So at least I know where to go. Now the hard thing about these little suckers are because I'm working with a small little pad there, so I'm trying to make sure that each one of them, as I put the solder in, that they get properly placed so they actually join. Whoop. So I'm trying to not screw up here. Well, oh shit. And that's what I was trying to avoid. Where's my sucker? Here we go. And that's the hardest thing about these guys here. Oh, God. Okay, it looks like I actually killed it, for lack of a better term. Worst case scenario, I desolder the things that are not working properly and redo them again. That's the worst case scenario. What is next? Ooh, transistors. T1, T2. Oh, those are going to be fun. T1, T2. Okay, as for these transistors, to give you the exact description, it's going to be kind of hard for me, but what I am going to do with these two transistors, in the comments, in the description below, once I get everything uploaded and all that, I'm going to put in what the transistor does, or in this case, what these two BC547 transistors do within the description. So basically, I'll Google it and basically let you guys know what these guys mean in regards to that. Because for the simple fact is, it's hard for me to describe verbally to you what they exactly are without going, crazy for Cocoa Puff type of thing. And I'd rather you read it firsthand, so that way you guys understand what it actually means, alongside with the other ones, with the resistors as well, and the capacitors, the electrolytic capacitors. Because there's two types of capacitors on this project here. They don't have the other ones that I'm looking at. Not like this one here, which has another set of electrolytic capacitors in them. Another type of capacitor in it. So I'll show you at a later. I'll show you probably in the next one. This one here, the second one, I won't do tonight on this particular episode. For the simple fact, it would probably take too long, and it's already almost 11 o'clock in the evening over here. So that's what I am going to have to do in that case. So these two here, as you can see. Now I'm going by what we have here is on the drawing themselves for T2 and T1 and T2, because the third leg has to be pushed out a little bit. And insert it in. So I'm going to try to get all three of them in at the same time. Here we go. Now what I'm doing here at the same time is I'm actually spreading the legs out a little bit, so that way they will hold. And I'm going to have to do that for the same one for the third one, but for the second one. Well, sorry for not being so talkative here, but it's kind of hard to talk and do at the same time.
got it. Or do I got it? No, I don't. There we go. We're almost done. We're almost done. And what I'm doing here with the sponge and all that is I'm basically wetting down the tip and drying it off at the same time. Yeah, there we go. It's firmly in place. So here we go. To let you know, this is actually harder than it actually looks, especially for me who has fat thumbs. And we'll get the last. Where did I put the? Okay, there we are. So now we get the second one in, which goes in the same way. Oop. The real hard part about these guys, and I'm letting you know now, from the way I'm doing it here, it is really difficult to get the solder into the, well, not into, but on to the place that it's supposed to be soldering to. Oh shit. The simple fact is There we go. Eesh. Okay, not one of my best works, I can tell you that for sure. I am not a great solderer per se. God darn it. Just picked up some of that goop. Now, as I was mentioning last time about the electrolytic capacitors, these little guys come in various sizes, and if you notice carefully enough, I don't know if you can see well, but these guys here has one leg longer than the other. Now the difference is, in most cases, the longer leg of the two is the positive, and the one that has the stripe, you may see it here, the one that has the stripe on it is the negative. So in this case here, we're looking at C1 and C2. And these ones here, they mark which side is the positive and which side is the negative. And the best way of knowing which one is which is by looking on the mat itself. And once again, just simply by moving the legs a little far apart from bracing it, will help it keep it there. Oh, my nose. My nose for news. My news for nose. And since we have two of them to do, might as well get them done right away. Come on, boot up. Put a little goob on here. Another little goob over here. I hate when this happens. Oh, darn it. He thinks we got it. He thinks we did. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to leave this here a little bit later since it's coming late at night. I have one more capacitor to do, and then we have the 2 LED lights, which I'll get done tomorrow, and then we'll put in the actual connection itself afterwards to put in the 9-volt. So I'll be back in the next couple of hours in order to finish the rest here. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, folks. Right now I'm without any power right now to continue on with this little project here to do the final soldering on it. But what I'm going to do here right now is just to put these last 3 things here, which is the 2 LEDs, the other capacitor, at least put them into here in order to get them prepared. And then once the power comes back on, what we'll do is I'll get the soldering iron heated up so we can actually get this here soldered up properly. The last thing I wanted to show you here, actually this was actually off camera. This here that I have here is the thing there for sucking up the solder that's still hot. This actually jammed on me last time when I was actually on here to do it, and I actually faded, had to cut. This here actually had blocked up, so I had to clean out the nozzle for this one here in order to clear it up. So now it's working perfectly fine. So that's for later on. So let's at least get the one capacitor on here and the last 2 LEDs for the time being. So that way we at least have that there done. And like I said, these capacitors, these electrical little capacitors, you'll notice that on both of them, and I'm showing you this one here, one leg is higher than the other, which is giving me the indication that the longer leg is actually the positive and this here is actually the negative. On these printed circuit boards, usually when they do the drawings on these, they'll let you know where the positive lead is supposed to go. And if you can see here carefully, you probably might not see it here now, but you'll see when you're actually doing something like this where the positive goes, because they'll give you an indication where the positive LED, the positive lead goes. So it's just a matter of inserting it in and then cranking over a little bit so they stay in place, the 2 leads. So that way afterwards when you're ready to go, you can actually put a little solder on it, and that's basically it. So I have that already done here for this one here. And yes, I know my soldering is crappy just by the looks of it, but that's okay because this is my first time ever doing it. So now let's go for the LEDs. Again, same thing here. One is showing the positive and one is showing the negative. But here as well, that what they show you here is not evident, but there is a section of the LED that's actually flat. Okay, so when you look at the LED on top on the printed circuit board, you will see 2 sections that will have a negative and a positive on it. So right here, again, seeing this here, the negative side will usually have the flat end on it. And I'm just trying to take a look here, since I don't have any other lighting. But luckily me, I do have my little handy dandy LED light. It doesn't look like it. So let's push this here out. redo it the other way just to see. Nope, that's round. So it's the other way, like I had it initially. So here we go. Yep, now it looks proper. So same thing again for this. Slightly push either side. That's for that. And last but not least, if I can get that inserted in properly, knowing that I can't, or I can, but it's just not doing it. Here we go. And there's the last one there. So, again, I'm just pushing each one sideways there a little bit, so that way it actually grasps on. So now, I'll be ready to actually solder these ones in. I'm going to leave it upside down for the time being. So until I can get some power here tonight, this afternoon, I won't be able to get my little handy dandy soldering iron up and running. This is the last little piece here. This is the 9-volt for the 9-volt battery, and I do have, luckily, a 9-volt battery handy. So once I get this here soldered into the last two leads and solder the other ones in, we're just going to have to wait. And today's Saturday, so there's nothing much I can do right now until I can get the power back. So once I do get the power back, we'll be able to finish it. Okay, I'm finally back. The power finally came back later on this afternoon. So like I have here, I already have these three last ones to put in. Here we go. There we go. It's two down. Well, two stems down, I should say. Ah! Not one of the easiest ones to. Where's my sucky guy? Here we go. Here's my sucky guy. Yeah. When that happens. Okay, give me 2 moments.
Okay,
here.
I'm
I'll
back.
be right back. Finally got it. Okay, they seem to be firmly in. But some people don't tell you in regards to these things. They're not as easy as it seems as to put them together. And especially if you're a newbie, like even myself, it makes it even harder to learn how to solder properly. It's just a matter of time and practice that you'll get better at these things. There we go. So last but not least, what needs to get done are the last two, or the last two little connections. And one is the black and one is the red. Now in these things here, what they do tell you is they show you right here which one is the black, which one is the red for this, which I am plugging in right now, which are the last two connections. Yep. Black, red, black in here. What I hate about these things sometimes. Black, black into black, red into red. So black into here. There we go. is the last one. And that's it. Let's give this a few moments to solidify. While we're waiting for that, might as well plug it in just to see what happens. We got it lit. We got contact. See? Now, what I am going to do I have a screwdriver. Let me just pick something up here. I think I may have a small screwdriver. Thank God for little leftover parts here and there. Nothing. Okay. This is not working as I figured. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a look at this with one of my friends there. He knows a little bit more about these things. Maybe I might have mis-soldered something. It's hard for me to tell on the backside. But this is how... This is how you're supposed to do it, I think. I hope. Anyhow. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to call this here, and then for this project, I'm going to revisit this once I have my friend take a look at it as well, just to see what I did wrong. Because you have to learn by these things, you know how they are. But it's at least something to start off with. And that's how you build one of these, an LED flashing light. But I'm going to get this here working. It's just a matter of time. So, I'll see you guys later. The second one will probably come up in the next episode, but at least this is a start for me figuring out what I did wrong. So, I'll see you guys later, okay? And I'll give you an update of what I'm doing here as well.